If this class makes you nervous, you are not alone. But these strategies to overcome public speaking anxiety should hopefully make it so it's not as nerve wracking, and maybe you might even enjoy this class and take some of these tips and bring them out into the rest of your life so you'll be able to feel less anxiety when delivering speeches. So here's some tips. Number one, this is an acronym. It's called TENSE. The T stands for tighten, E stands for ease, N stands for notice, S stands for suggest, and then E stands for enjoy. I would like to talk about each one for just a moment. So T stands for tighten. Okay, we're going to talk about tighten, ease, and notice at the same time here. First thing that you're going to do, and this is a great strategy if you have to wait to deliver a speech. Quite often, one of the worst times for most people for delivering a speech is right before you deliver that speech, when you have to wait quietly somewhere, and that's when a lot of the anxiety builds up. So this strategy is invisible, and it can help you in those moments right before delivering a speech. The first thing that we're going to do is ask the question of ourselves, where on my body do I feel the most anxiousness? Okay, like if you could put your finger on a physical spot on your body, where would you point to if you're feeling nervous? Okay, this spot on me. So it might be your stomach. You might feel it in your shoulders. Maybe it's your hands. Maybe it's your legs. I don't know. It's very personal for each individual, but ask the question. If I'm feeling anxious, where on my physical body do I feel the most anxiety manifesting? Okay, so usually if you ask that question, you'll get an answer. What we're going to do is tighten that area, so tighten the muscles. If it's a hand, you would make like a fist and then tighten it up. If it's your legs or your stomach, you would just tighten and clench those muscles up. So tighten those up, hold it for maybe 5 seconds or so. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then slowly ease out. So unclenching, relaxing that muscle, and then noticing if that muscle feels different now than it did before. And then do it again. Okay, but as you're noticing that, what we're going to try and do is link this to some positive suggestion. Okay, so we're going to not only have you tensing up that muscle, slowly easing out, but as you ease out, I want you to find something that you can think of in your life that will make you feel more calm. I remember when I first came across this technique, it was back in college, and I was kind of trying to, do things that were more adrenaline type stuff, right? So I didn't have like these, stories of, I felt so relaxed when this thing happened. Like that's not really me. But back then, in order to do that, I was like, well, I've got a massage. So I would think of the word massage as I was unclenching and relaxing those muscles. And that helped out pretty well. But some of you might actually have some stories though, some things that if you can think of certain moments in your life where everything just seemed like it was right. If you have one of those, then this is the time to try and bring yourself to that place. Okay, so maybe it was the first time that you met your boyfriend or girlfriend or husband or wife, that very first moment, that spark that you felt. Maybe it was something with your kids. This is an example that I use for myself whenever I use this technique. I remember when I was teaching summer school, this was a couple of years ago. At the time, my oldest son was 4, and it was one of those days. So, if you're not listening to this and you're not in one of my classes, it gets hot here during the summer sometimes. It was toward the end of the term, and it was one of those days where we woke up together in the morning, and I told him that I would take him swimming before I was going to go and go in to teach. I started at 10. So I took him, and it was about like 8:30, 8:45. And it was one of those days where you could feel that it was going to be extremely warm. Kind of like if you've ever been to the desert and you're up in the morning, like it's still 70 degrees, but you can feel that the heat is there and that it's going to show up later on in the day. It was one of those days, right? So it was just the two of us, and we get to this pool in our neighborhood, and we look at the pool, perfect glass on the top, right? No other people there. It's quiet. There's no one around. The two of us go swimming. So he didn't really know how to swim at the time. So just kind of me hanging out with him and practicing stuff. And, it's just the two of us in this pool and we're just having a great time. And, finally we get out and we're sitting in these two pool chairs, just kind of hanging out. The chairs, with like on the back of the chair, it's got like those rubber strips, right? Those lounge chairs, the Chase lounge chairs. So I'm sitting in one, he's sitting in the other one. He's just this little dude, right? And he's got sunglasses on. And I brought just a light snack for us. It was some Cheerios and blueberries. And he's got this little blue plastic cup and he's eating the blueberries and the Cheerios. And I'm just sitting there and we're not talking and it's warm and it's calm. And I don't know if you've ever spent a lot of time with little kids, but like they're always doing something. Like they're always up to, like they are very active, right? But for this moment, and it maybe lasted for like 20 seconds, but for this moment, it was the very first time that my son and I were just hanging out. We were just hanging out, doing nothing, just content, sitting there, warm, we got some exercise, just hanging out. And I can go exactly to that spot, right? So I can bring this back. This is very visual for me. I can see this, I can touch it, I can feel it, I can feel the chair, I can taste the Cheerios, I can see my son. I can go right to that spot when I'm using this technique, right? So for me, I'll tighten up my hands, I'll slowly ease my hand out, I'll notice how it feels different. And as I'm doing that, I'll think about what it was like when I was sitting in that chair next to my son and just feeling that experience. So whatever it might be for you, it might just be a word, it might be a story, it might be something like that. And then the E stands for enjoy. So yay, enjoy at the end of the acronym. But the idea is that we're doing something called isometric squeeze relaxation. So there's actually some different schools of thought that say that it's not exactly the tensing, it's actually just the focused attention on it. Whatever, at the end of the day, it's kind of the same outcome. So you're focusing on that muscle, tightening it up, slowly easing it out, and then from there, you are suggesting some sort of positive visualization to help yourself remain calm. Worst case, this gives you something to do while you're waiting to give a speech. Best case, this puts you in the zone so you deliver an awesome speech. Let's talk about the next one. Music and breath. If you've taken a CPR class in like the last 5 or 10 years, one of the things that they have you do when you're doing chest compressions is they have you sing a little song. Some of you might know what this is. Staying alive. Right? It's the Staying Alive song. So why do they do this? Well, the reason is they don't want you to get on top of somebody and be like, I'm pumping on your chest. Because that probably wouldn't help them, right? But what the medical professionals understand is that in times of stress, your brain still has a pretty good ability to find rhythm. And to match something up with that rhythm can be an effective tool to make sure that people are not going crazy on someone's chest. So that's why when they're pumping, staying alive, when they're pumping on their chest, they're doing it to that beat. So what we're going to try and have you do here is similar to this. This is a like foundational idea, but we're going to have you match deep breathing to any song that you want. Now, if we were to ask some of you, like, what's a good strategy for calming down, lowering anxiety? A lot of you would probably say deep breathing is one, and you would be right. However, unless you have like significant meditation or yoga training or something like that, most of us, even if we say that, usually we do like 2 or 3 deep breaths while we're waiting to give a speech, and then our mind goes somewhere else, and then we kind of stop. So you might have experienced this before. So what we're going to try and do here is tie your breathing to a song, and that will make your deep breathing activity last longer. Okay? The idea is that we want to just make it so you do deep breathing for a minute, a couple of minutes, and that's going to make a big difference in the quality of the outcome of deep breathing, which would be lowering your anxiety. Okay? So what I'd like you to do right now, just to experience this, is I want you to think for a moment about any song. Any song will work for this. So something that you have listened to in the last day, today, whatever. Could be Staying Alive if that's in your head now. It's up to you, whatever. But get a song in your head. Okay, so I'm going to be quiet for a second. Get a song in your head. This is an example. You got something? If you don't have something, pause this video. If you do, cool. What we're going to do is work on what's called diaphragmatic breathing. So what this means is belly breathing. So sit up in your chair if you're standing or whatever, just good posture. Okay, so sit up with good posture. And when we take a deep breath, our belly is going to come out. Sometimes it helps if you have your hand on your tummy, like right by your belly button. So we'll take a deep breath. And exhale. Now what you're going to do is continue with that. And I want you to time your breathing to the beat of whatever song that is that you picked. Now, if it was like a fast, crazy song, that doesn't mean hyperventilate, right? You might not do every single beat, but you're going to time it. So it might be, every 8 beats or something, you're breathing in, and then every 8 beats, you're exhaling, whatever. The idea is you're just feeling a rhythm, you're hearing the song, and then you're tying your breathing to that rhythm. So I'll be quiet for a second here. I want you to try this out. So think of the song. Sit up straight, diaphragmatic breathing, belly breathing, and we'll do this for just a sec. You can pause the video if you want to try this out for a little bit longer. I'm not going to sit here in silence for too long on the video, but yeah, try this out. So pause it, try it out. Keep trying this. A lot of these things, if you just try it once, like that doesn't really help you. Or if you only try it when you're like freaking out right before a speech, that doesn't really help you. So try this, try these more than once. Try these on a daily basis. Try these every couple days, whatever. But don't just use it once and then be like, oh, I don't really know if it worked because I was so freaked out. So I want you to get one of these and be like, okay, I know this works because I've tried it out. I know this makes me feel more mellow. Okay. Number 3, warm up your body. All right, what we're talking about here is your physical body. One of the things that happens quite often, especially in college, is you have people who are forced into a situation where they have to give a speech. And let's say you are speaker number 5. So you're like 30, 45 minutes into the classroom day, and then you have to give a speech. This poor person has put themselves in a situation where they're probably in a small position, like since you're sitting in those desks, a lot of times people are hunched over and not in good posture and not taking up a lot of space. And they're kind of small. They haven't talked for like 30 or 45 minutes. And then we expect them to go up to the front of the room and deliver an amazing speech. Like while they've been stewing in their own anxiety hormones for the last 30, 45 minutes. Like that's awful. So I don't want you to have to do that. What I want you to do is figure out a way to warm up your body before you deliver a speech. So here's some examples of things that you could do. 1 is like jumping jacks. 2 could be some push-ups. Maybe just big stretching, but you want to get your blood flowing. So not just stretching, but you want to feel like you have some energy in your body before you start your speech. Even if you're tired, this will absolutely help you out. This will wake you up. So doing some jumping jacks, getting some energy. There's a video that we watch in our class by Amy Cuddy, Your Body Language Shapes Who You Are. She gives these things called power poses. You might have seen this video. It's a very popular TED Talk. That's another way to do this. There's also another technique that I'll share in class with a specific story that's sort of a secret story, but I'll talk about that in class. But figure out a way to get your heart rate up, warm up your body, feel like you are walking in with energy, okay? This is one of those, so there's 2 different ways that you should be able to have energy and enthusiasm for all of your speeches. 1 is because your physical body is excited and energized. 2 is because you are motivated and excited to share the information with your audience. That's it. Those 2 things. You care about your audience and you want to share the information, and your body is ready to go. Okay. Number 4, meditation. Okay, so I teach at the San Alejo Cardiff campus here, which is right next to Encinitas, which is like one of the meditation centers of the universe, I think. So a lot of people surprisingly have experience with meditation. In addition, things like Headspace and some more high-profile people talking about meditation has made this more common. But let me just tell you exactly what to do here. If you're not familiar with this, here's all you need to do. 1, find a quiet place. Sit down comfortably. Start taking some deep breaths. Focus on your breath, so pay attention to your breath. Recognize that thoughts are going to show up in your mind. Acknowledge that they are there, and then go back to focusing on your breath. If those thoughts show up again, see them, maybe wave to them in your mind, like, oh, there you are. Go back to focusing on your breath. Do this for about 10 minutes. Meditation with warming up your body is like the 1-2 punch of being an amazingly focused public speaker who can really withstand all sorts of challenges. Okay, so again, it's not this crazy thing. It's not this weird, you need a guru kind of thing to meditate. What we're trying to do here is just 10 minutes, so set a timer on your phone or your watch or whatever. Sit down, take some deep breaths, focus on your breath. Find a quiet place to do this where you're not going to get distracted. Focus on your breath. Recognize that thoughts will show up. Acknowledge those thoughts. See them. Know that they were going to show up. And then go back to focusing on your breath. Those thoughts are probably going to show up again. That's okay. There's no right or wrong here. Don't judge yourself. Don't be mean to yourself. Don't be like, why are these thoughts showing up? Instead, just be like, okay, there you are. I see you. Focusing on breath again. Our fifth strategy is secret practice. The best way to get better at public speaking is to give more speeches. What a surprise. But we don't really give that many speeches like most people in their lives, but we do talk to a lot of people. And really the difference between giving a speech and talking to someone is kind of a matter of perspective, right? If you're talking to someone, you're also talking when you're giving a speech. Could make a connection that it's pretty similar. So the idea here is look at your day, look at your calendar, look at what you have going on this week, and try and find some places where you're doing the things you normally do, but instead you can reframe them and treat them as public speaking practice. For example, if you work at a restaurant, every time you walk up to a table, think about it as a speech if you are a server. Right? Think about the very beginning of that as a mini little speech. The more you think that you are giving speeches, the less anxiety you're going to have when you're actually delivering speeches. Let's say that you're going to be going to class and the first 5 minutes you're always talking to someone. Try and think of, okay, I'm walking in, I'm delivering a quick speech to this person. I know it sounds kind of weird or whatever, but usually people just think, hey, that person was a little more polished today. Like that's all it ends up being. You might even get more tips out of this if you're working as a server. But try and find places in your day where you're already talking, communicating, and reframe that as a speaking situation. Our last strategy here is just practice. This is like the least sexy of all the strategies, but it's the best one. But yeah, just do this more. If you have an informative speech that you're delivering, practice, 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 and then you'll feel confident that you know the material, and then you will be less anxious about it. Practice. Do it a lot. And then remember, don't worry about burnout. Remember, we have another video where I'm talking about different practice strategies. Don't worry about burnout. Do this a bunch, because the more familiar, the more confident you are with your content, the more likely you are going to feel good and not feel so anxious when delivering a speech. Okay, so these are 6 different strategies: tense, music and breath, warming up your body, meditation, secret practice, and then practice. Try these things out. Try out all of them. See what works best for you. Don't just try one, try all of them. See what works. And then from there, make some decisions. And hopefully this will make it so you're actually having fun while you're delivering a speech because you have a positive and important message to share with other people.